Hello, everybody, and welcome. First podcast, first anything, really. Today, we're just going to kind of go over some stuff, who we are, and what we're doing. Yeah, it's going to be sweet. I am joined by my awesome friend and co owner of the company here. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Anthony. I have been a gamer since I was 6, maybe a little before, but that's the earliest I can remember. Uh, got a degree in computer science and met up with Hunter, the fabulous man,
That's me.
um,
That's me.
when we were working doing testing on Asgard's Wrath 2. We got together and decided to make this work out. So.
Yeah, we did QA testing for that game. I think we can say that, right? It's not under NDA or anything.
I mean, it shouldn't be a problem
No.
as far as I'm aware.
But yeah, that man, that was a fucking time, wasn't it? That was
Yeah.
it was fun for the first, year, and then it just, oh man, it went real down the shitter. Um but anyways,
Yeah,
I guess
it really did.
yeah, dude, it did. We could get
But
into
we're
our Oh,
we're
sorry,
we're
go.
not here to talk about Asgard's Wrath. We're here to
No,
talk about Warnsoft.
exactly. Warnsoft is this little studio that we started. We've only released one game, but we have a good amount of what's the word, like experience or knowledge, I guess, in like gaming and doing game design and stuff. But Tentaphage is our first game that we released, and that released in August, I believe, of last year. I want to say it was like
Yeah,
August
sounds about
28th or
right.
something. Um, so that was our first game. Launch went pretty horrible. I mean, not horrible as in like uh there were issues, but horrible as in we just like, game didn't sell well. We didn't market it at all. We didn't really know what we were doing.
No, I'd say horrible in any
Yeah.
account. Yeah, because
Okay.
remember the start of the whole release was March.
Right.
We tried to release it in March, and it took until August for everything to finish going through.
Mhm.
All of the stuff we didn't know we had to do to get a Steam page up and running, and all of this other
Yeah.
stuff. So it it kind of went badly,
Yeah.
just in general. It took almost half the time of development just to try to release it.
It was a lot of learning along the way because no one had told us how to do things or what way or what order. So that definitely kind of sucked, but I mean, we eventually pulled through, even if it took us an extra what, March, April, May, June, July, August, next, or like 5 months.
Yeah,
But we did it. I think we got a lot of good things, in the pipeline now, which is sweet. But we originally we had four. We still do technically. We have four members, but obviously there's just two of us here today. The other two members they're not really part of what we're doing right now, because
they're busy with their personal lives.
right.
Stuff's
Um,
getting in the way.
yeah. So for the foreseeable future, I mean, things might change. Maybe next episode on the podcast, we might be talking with another one of the members, but yeah, as it currently stands, it's just us two. So, and we also have a 3D modeler helping us with our current project, which we could probably get them on here. That would be cool. Um, but yeah, so we want to make good games, we want to do good things, and we want to really like, in my opinion, be able to, I want to be the best. I want to be the best in the industry, and I think we can. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to take us getting into our feng shui of things, you know?
Yeah, as our grandparents may say, pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps for a mountain to the top.
Exactly.
It's our progressionist fantasy, you know,
Hmm.
turning into a reality.
No, but
Uh,
um, we're kind of we're based out of Portland, Oregon, I guess, right? But that is kind
Technically,
of technically, Right, that's where it's where the company was formed and everything. But we're probably going to be moving up to Seattle in the next few years here, so pretty soon.
So let's go into like what our mission is here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because like we've discussed a little bit of the founding of it, with the background, where we're at, whatnot. But what are we doing,
Mhm.
Because from my perspective, Warrensoft is all about creating amazing stories that bring people together, make them feel, trying to make showcase the storytelling medium that gaming is. Like
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying to put into this, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
Why I want to make video games in the first place, you know. I remember walking into a GameStop with my dad and buying a Wii and getting Monkey Island for the Wii. And I don't know why I have that like core memory associated with making games, but I remember thinking to myself in that moment, I was like, games are so cool. They're like the coolest form of like art media in my opinion because there's so many things that are involved with it. You know, it's story, it's art, and it's like the immersion of it all. And I really want to be able to tell stories that are not only like our own, but also stories that help people, and they show people like, you're not the only one maybe going through something right now, you know, or telling stories as a means to let people kind of be not only immersed but distracted from whatever it is that they got going on right now that they don't want to have to think about, or
right.
just making just having something there and a something from us that allows people to be a little bit happier on their day to day. So,
Yeah. Lord knows we live in a time where everyone could use a good distraction.
mm-hmm.
It is really funny. It's the first conscious thought I remember having. Um, was on my sixth birthday. I got an Xbox, OG, and I got TMNT, and I was playing that. I turned it on. I was, the guy with purple, the math
Yep.
guy. I
Yeah,
loved
that's
him.
Donatello.
So I was going playing as him. I was like, yeah, this is super cool. And I was like, something struck me of just like, this is so awesome. It sparked that childlike awe and wonder, that
Oh yeah.
we don't really see in our adult lives.
Right.
And I still get that occasionally playing games. Oh my god, playing the Amazing Spider-Man 2 from Sony.
Oh, bro.
I felt that like in my core rising up, that just like the giddy kid.
Mm-hmm.
This is so awesome. This is so cool. Uh, I want to inspire other people like that. I want to give other people that same sense of like feeling and depth of feeling.
Right.
Uh, and that was my first thought. Was I was 6 years old. I turned on this Xbox. I start playing, and I'm like, this is awesome. I want other people to feel this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to spread these emotions. As I've gone through my life and gone through various events, both good and bad. Uh, Kind of similar to what you're saying. I want to share those kinds of feelings and events and emotions with people as well, so
Mm-hmm.
that again they're not alone, or that you can try to understand somebody a little bit better who you may not have ever felt that way, felt a way they had, um, but it shares a perspective that goes deeper than a person would normally be able to explain,
Mm-hmm.
um, because games are so perfect for storytelling in a way that puts you in someone else's shoes. Yeah, so that's why I want to make
Yeah.
games. I wanna push that really hard. So like looking at some of my favorite developers like Remedy, is I think they do an
they
amazing
they
job
did
at that.
Control and Alan Wake, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And like the first Alan Wake, when I was a child, I was scared of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of like connected I felt of like it's not something to be shamed of to be scared of the dark, and it kind
Right.
of helped me translate that into an ability to fight my fear of being scared in the dark, because that's essentially the whole story is he's fighting the darkness.
Yeah.
As I've grown up, I've seen the alternate side of that, of like there's dark inside of everybody.
Mhm.
um and you constantly kind of have to be fighting that and not let it take you over. I feel like that's a tangent that can go on for way too long.
Well, I wanted to say, speaking of light and darkness, I think another game, for me that really kind of inspired and made me want to like make games and stories and stuff is Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is like, I know it gets shit on because the story is so wacky and all over the place and confusing, and there's so much of it that you need to know. And it also, the games are released on like 9 different consoles. So, but that game, story wise, has been able to like touch my core in a way that not a lot of things can, and I really want to be able to try and instill some of that, within our games, because I think that is going to be like moving forward with our games. Not all of them, right? I mean, I'm sure we'll make some, kind of like a games game, right? Like a party game or something like that. I can imagine us
Yeah.
doing something like that
Oh
down
yeah.
the road, but um, I think like the storytelling aspect is really important for games, and I think it's kind of gotten lost within this kind of new recent age of gaming, because it's all like, I'm gonna use the term, and I don't even agree with it, but the friend slop games. Okay. I don't think they're slop. I think those games are actually fun, and they clearly have a lot of value because it gets you to play with friends, right? And that's good. And it's not necessarily they have a lot of story and stuff, but it's just like,
Replayability,
right,
fun
right.
game mechanics.
Yeah, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think those are great things that the games industry needs to like evolve as well. But I definitely want to, stay focused on like story. And I would say even like Tenephage, I mean, it had a story, but it wasn't like great. It was just kind of like thrown in. And I think that was probably because that was originally a Game Jam game. So
Yeah,
didn't have
that
a
we
lot of
then
time.
developed and
Yeah,
took tried to take as far as it could go without
right.
completely starting from scratch.
Yeah. And I remember Jordan, one of our other members who is not here today, but I remember talking with him after we had finished the game jam and we submitted the game. And it was like, comparatively, the game jam version of the game versus the final product, it's like night and day. Like the game jam game was so bad. But and I don't think like the final product was necessarily great, but it's definitely way better. Um and I remember talking with Jordan, and he was just like, "This is the first time when we've been able to like make something that is like almost complete already." Because we were working on a few other projects before Tenephage, and they just like, we could never get them finished, and that
Couldn't see them
sucked.
to fruition. Yeah,
Yeah, and because like we had some things that we were trying, but we just didn't have enough experience at the time to really like get things working. And I think Tenephage was the first game where it was like, okay, we we actually have a like end in mind, and we can see the end. And if we just keep working at it, we'll get there. Um, and I think maybe that's also because those other games suffered from a lot of scope creep. Yeah, we're here now, and we're working on a new game.
Um, obviously, this is the first of many different avenues we're going down on, uh, spreading Warrensoft to whatever communities that it ends up reaching, being the podcast. We're also going to start working on devlogs for the game we're currently working on,
Mm-hmm.
that we're going to be trying to release once a month, at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as we mentioned multiple
Did you?
times here, we're currently working on a game being led by Hunter.
Yup.
And
Tentaphage was my idea. Um, and it was honestly, I would say it was me and Jordan's idea because Jordan had a lot of input on that too. Um, but Jordan, is the kind of guy that just like he's more like the worker, and he likes it. I mean, he told me he's like, I just need to know what we're doing so I can just work on it. I was like, okay, cool. Um, but yeah, and then this game, I'm creative directing as well, but obviously with a lot of input from Anthony and whatever he thinks. If like if Anthony thought something like one of my ideas was just horrible, he would let me know. And I mean that has happened before with some of the story elements and stuff where we're just like we're not gonna do that. And I was like, okay, yeah,
I do try to at least make it less of a we're not doing that, and it's like, okay, what if we shift it in this light?
right, right,
Does that work better? Does that keep what you wanted but make it fit the game?
right. But I have been making a lot of good progress on the story and all that stuff. I would say like it's probably close to like 50% done now, if not maybe a little bit more than that. But it's really just the game is going to be separated into three acts, and the second act is pretty much done. The first act has a little bit of work, and then the third act has it's not done at all yet. So, and this is a story that I actually had kind of written out and had the idea for. I think about 2 or 3 years ago now. This was an idea that I was gonna make on a YouTube channel and just like film it. It was gonna be kind of like a short series, and I figured like, hey, that never came to fruition with the short series, so why don't we try it into a game? And I think because of that, it has definitely helped with the whole like it's just going to be a lot easier to tell the story. So yeah, Razor Brain is a narrative horror game, first person. It's going to be 3D. It basically follows this guy who had some bad stuff happen to him, and he is greeted by a presence in his house, and this presence tells him like basically that he has the answer to his problems. So he starts following it, and bad things start happening. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. But in the devlogs and stuff, there will definitely be more with the story and the gameplay and all that. Speaking of gameplay, I mean, I definitely think the game is going to be more of like a the narrative is going to be the focal point, but we want to try and still have a fun gameplay loop. So we're kind of working and ironing out exactly what that is going to be. Um, but we have a lot. I think we are going to have a lot of systems in place which will allow us to make said fun gameplay loop. So,
In this,
yeah,
you're just a guy.
yeah.
So, you know,
It's
uh,
definitely. I think this game is definitely calling back to some more classic horror games like Silent Hill. 2 has been a big inspiration for me on this story. What's another one like?
I know that it has a lot of like original Amnesia style
Mm-hmm.
elements to it. From I haven't played this personally, but I've seen a lot of talk on them, and I've seen some gameplay. Uh, and from what I've seen, it's very similar
Yeah. Yeah.
in concept, not necessarily in execution,
Right. Yeah.
because
I would agree.
we want to keep our own authenticity and originality to it,
Yeah.
obviously, but inspiration of that kind
Yep.
of game as well.
I mean, another thing I know that's been a big inspiration is like Coraline and also Stranger Things in a little bit in a little way, just a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
those make sense. Thinking about it.
yeah, yeah. Retrospectively
I
thinking about it, yeah, I'm quite excited to continue to just keep working on this, and just we really want to get this out by Halloween. So I don't care if I got to work 16-hour days. Like I'm gonna get it done. Um,
Hunter was mentioning taking the creative director role on this. Obviously, being two, three people working on this game,
hmm
because I'm also on it. We're putting our hands in a little bit of every pie.
Yeah.
But like I'm mostly taking in the coding, doing the logic stuff, doing. I did a little bit of prop work before we got our prop maker, our 3D modeler on.
Yep.
Uh, and I'll I pretty sure I'll be end up doing most of the animations and stuff along those lines as well. So
Hmm.
that's animations and logic are my big areas of focus on this game. But
Yeah, the big two. Um, and then yeah, I do all of the texture work. I do some coding as well. I try to do some coding, but right now it's like it feels like there's a lot of other things that need to be worked on. Character modeler, and then some props as well. But yeah, now that we have a prop artist, we've kind of been offloading a lot of that stuff onto them, which has been extremely helpful because we originally did a sprint with like, oh hey, we need to get all these props done, and the game should be good to go once we get those props done. Unfortunately for us, we realized after we had gotten that sprint done that the game needed way more props. So we have
yeah, it
that.
felt really empty despite
Yeah,
having like we went through and made what like 50, 60 props and
yeah,
it was
dude. It
not
was.
it still felt extremely empty.
Yeah, I would say it was close to, yeah, 60 things we had made, and the house, which is where the game takes place, the majority of the game takes place. We put everything in there, and it was like, wow, this feels so barren. We need more things in here. So, but we got it under control and figured out, and it was very actually fortunate that Jules had reached out to us and asked to work on it, or asked if we needed any help.
So I guess into the future, obviously we have tons of ideas we want to make. I know that I personally
Hmm.
keep a journal of all of the ideas that I come
Yeah,
up with,
I do
and
too.
I think I have like 11 or 12 games
Dang.
currently that I'm like, I want to make that, I want to make
Yeah.
that, I want a story that does this. Obviously, some of these could be put together because sometimes it's I want a game centered around this specific mechanic.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's I want a game centered around this specific story. So like a story could go with a mechanic, and then that's two
Right.
games off my list. Um, but I know that both you and I have a game that like separately
Hmm.
that we have our vision set on like setting up and then creating.
Yes. Yes.
Yours is a bit longer, so we'd
Yes.
likely be taking breaks from it when
Hmm.
we start it to do other things just because we at minimum I believe we want to release one game a year, like
Yeah.
that's the lowest amount, just constantly trying to release stuff.
Yes. Bare minimum, one game a year, I think is one doable, and it's doable and realistic, and two, I think it will also put us within this kind of time constraint of like, okay, we can't scope our games out so much that they can't release within this time frame. And if that does end up happening, then we'll just have to descope and try and remove all the bloat.
Or we have to uh, continuously go back and forth on the game and have it be like almost a
Hmm.
magnum opus where it's like this game took 5 years, but we released 5 games while developing the
Yeah,
one game,
I
something like
um,
that.
I definitely had this kind of idea where we could have like, our game a year, whatever that is, and then that game, which I know both of you know what we're talking about here. We could spend like a month or two after we release a game working on it, and then just kind of keep going back and forth on it.
Yeah,
After we
however
like,
long we need.
right. But yeah, that game is gonna take a while. A lot of it's kind of on paper built out already, which is nice, and I think is gonna help. Like, honestly, I think there's more of that game that's built out than our current one that we're working on, in some ways. But um, Razor Brain is technically the beginning of this kind of bigger thing. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess this comes back to a little bit of what Warrensoft is, but
Mm-hmm.
our the company is meant to be like a place where anyone who wants to make a game can make a game. Um, and so like you're creating this little universe within Razor Brain, and as you said, this is going to be the start of it, going into whatever the next thing is. I have like a universe of my own I've been working on creating, like putting together, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm wanting to make games in that, which, fingers crossed, is going to be the next project we work on
Yeah,
after Razor
it's going
that
to be.
that we're trying to release.
Yeah. Um, that's actually something. Yeah, I was gonna say was after Razor Brain is done, Anthony will be taking creative lead on our next game. And we'll be working on that, which I'm excited for. Because I'm just like, one, I don't want to be the only captain that mans the sails, or the only crew member that mans these sails, but I I remember when we first kind of established Warren Software, my whole thing was I want us to be like the A24 of video games, where we might have a few creative directors under us, but it's like each time a game releases under Warrensoft, you know just by looking at that game, like which creative director was under, and it kind of has
Yeah.
like, oh, it has that flair. It's got that Warrensoft flair to it, right? And quality. So that's a big important thing for me with our games.
I don't know if there's any other big things
Um,
that are coming up in the near
let me
future.
think. Let me think.
Possibly trying to go to PAX.
Yeah. Um, I would love to. Yeah, I would love to go to PAX if we could present Razorbrain there because that's obviously our current project. That would be freaking awesome. And if we can't make it this year, then maybe next year, and we can show kind of all our games and then also whatever current project we're working on at the time is. I'm definitely excited to start getting more into the ethos and community of just game development in general because while we do have some experience, I think we're just starting out. This is D-Day basically. So just kidding. But yeah, this is our like I feel like, us releasing the podcast is kind of like, okay, today it starts.
And Entaphage was dipping our foot in the water. Now we've jumped in,
Exactly, exactly. Um, and oh boy,
and
what a
now it's
game,
sink or
man.
swim.
Yeah, yeah, sink or swim. It's unfortunate because like all our credibility relies right now, at least, on Tentaphage's back, and it's just not a game that is meant to be that. It is
Yeah, it's not
so.
meant to hold.
It,
Its spine isn't that strong.
It's really not. It's a little squishy, tentacle man, little monster, and he just gets squished under the pressure. I feel like so.
Yeah,
Um, but I think once Razor Brain releases, we will have some. We will really have something to show, which I'm excited for. Already, like comparing the two games, like what little we have, I'm just like, bro, this game is so much better already. Like, especially visually, holy crap, it's just so much. It's got the sauce to it now. Tentaphage didn't have the sauce, but we found it. I mean, ambitions for like the whole studio eventually, like I would love to have a actual like brick and mortar location that we can go
yeah,
to
and
and,
work out of.
yeah, and work out of. That would be awesome. And I think once we move up to more north up in
Seattle would be
Seattle, that
the
would be yeah, that'll be the time.
location to do it.
Yeah, even honestly, like even if it's just a small place that's like an extension of one of our houses or something, and we just get to go there and like this is like where we work on games. This is our office
Go to a
basically.
garage.
Yeah, dude, I don't care.
I
I
work in
just
garage.
if that's how it's got to start, that's how it's got to start. But
Hey,
luckily, in the online age, we get to kind of be far away and still make things work.
yeah, you gotta love garage-based startups.
Exactly. They always I don't know. I feel like it shows a little bit of dedication. You know what I mean? Because it's like we wanted to make this work, even if it had to be out of the garage. So something special
Yeah.
about that. But yeah, PAX would be awesome. I mean, like we're gonna be. I know I'm gassing us up, but like one day, maybe not in the next few years even, but like one of these days, we are going to we are going to be at the fucking Game Awards. We're gonna be at all these game shows. We're gonna be on Sony's State of Play. We're gonna be on all these things, and I just know it. I fucking know it. I feel it in me. As long as we just keep working at it, and yeah. So I'm
Got
excited.
aspirations. We got to meet them.
We do, and we will. So it's okay.
These are
Um,
the short-term goals.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess midterm goals. Our short term is, release these games,
It's
get
the game.
going, get into a garage.
Yeah, get into garage.
Our midterm goals are
Now we
make
gotta
all
get
of
into
these.
garage. Even if yeah, we got a lot of things kind of in the pipeline in the works. So which I think also helps with the kind of like I don't know what I want to work on next. We're not gonna have that issue. You know what I mean?
We have years worth of work,
Yeah, already kind of
decades.
decades potential. I mean, you might. I know I have a few games in my kind of I don't know, I guess on my journal, like you were saying, you kind
in your
of
in
journal.
your in your repertoire.
Yeah, in my repertoire, I have a few games that I know I want to eventually make, and this current universe that we're building with Razorbrain is not the only universe that I have like that I want to work on.
Right.
And that's another thing that I'm trying to balance is like, okay, this IP is going to exist, but how how far do I want to invest in it? Because I also love doing different things, you know?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
sure, we might be making a horror game right now, but I mean, if you look at Tenephage, that game is, I mean, it's barely horror, you know what I mean? And
Right.
Razorbrain is way, I would say it's way more horror than Tenephage ever was. But
You
like,
you already got spooked during the game
I
development
did,
process.
I
We
did,
got you startled in it.
I freaking did, and I didn't even not intentional. It's just playing the game, like working on it, and yeah, I literally got jump scared out of like. That was quite funny. I wish I was recording that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I want to do some settings that are kind of dark and gritty and serious, and then I kind of want to do some other settings that maybe are not so serious and you know have a little silly flair to them. So yeah.
That's one of the big differences I think between us is I want to have one universe,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to necessarily have like a consecutive story in that universe. I
Right.
want it to be like, oh, you just kind of like anthologies almost. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a couple that continue each other, but it's like if you play a game, it doesn't mean that you're going to revisit those characters or that specific like location,
Mm-hmm.
or even that event,
Right. But it's all kind of in
or
the
like
same universe.
yeah. So it would be referencing each other. So like you might in a game down the road, it takes place as the first game,
Mm-hmm.
and they reference the events, but it's so far away in the world that uh, like it's just whispers of this going on, and it has
Yeah.
no bearing on the game that you're actually playing.
Right. Right. No, and I think what was it like? I've had kind of I don't know if you've thought about it in this way, but I've kind of had a realization recently, which is like we have the big game that we're eventually going to release, but I'm thinking like I wonder if there's a way that we can develop some smaller games that are still telling the story leading up to the big game, but focusing on a mechanic so that when we do get to the big game, we already have that mechanic and we can just port it over, you know, or like we've already worked on
Yeah.
doing that, so it'll be easier for us to implement in the big game. Um,
No, I think that's a great idea.
yeah, so I don't know. I think that would definitely help us because right now, I mean, you with game development, you only get better. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like as a studio, as a person, just working on games, you only get better, which is great. But
What is the actual like content of this podcast going forward? Like,
yeah, yeah,
obviously today was covering a lot of who we are, what we're doing, what we are. But going forward, what would other people expect to see or
hmm
hear? I guess in this on the
right.
biweekly basis we're gonna try to do.
Yeah. So I would love to one be able to cover kind of like talking about indie game development as a whole because I think it is a topic that people like to hear about. And the more information, the better, because we're just kind of all helping each other, make our things, our dreams possible. Um, and I would love to have guests on this podcast, like other game developers, and just them come on, kind of talk about like their experiences and what tools and things have helped them, and I think that would just be awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us on the first. I guess this might be episode zero. We might call it episode zero because it's kind of just the introduction. It's not really the first episode, but anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us today, and we will talk to you maybe in 2 weeks here for the next podcast. See ya. You gotta say bye, Anthony.
You say that as I say bye.
Okay. Peace.